Bonjour, French 1 students. Welcome to some information about Lesson 11, Part B, on pages 166 and 167 in your textbook. Really quickly, remember that in this lesson, we are talking about adjectives. And when we talk about adjectives, remember adjectives are used to describe nouns. And how French is a little different than English is, remember that in French, all nouns are either masculine or feminine and singular or plural. And in French, adjectives must agree or match the noun they describe in terms of gender, which is masculine or feminine, and number, which is the singular or the plural. Okay? So what that means is, in French, adjectives aren't always spelled the same way. Okay, you must pay attention to details. Now, kind of a little reminder, remember to know that a noun in French is masculine. Remember, I'm looking for a le, or an un, or a mon, or a tone. To know that a noun in French is feminine, remember, I'm looking for a la, an une, okay, a ma, or a ta, okay, and those are also singular. Okay, so that would be masculine and singular. So it'd be feminine and singular. Remember, for the plurals, my clues are going to be that I'm going to have a lay or a day as my article. Okay, so again, those are some kind of clues to help you remember that adjectives are a little different in French and English. So part B, les adjectifs, le pluriel. Compare the forms of the adjective in heavy print as they describe singular and plural nouns. Singular, Paul est intelligent et timide. Plural, Paul et Eric sont intelligents et timides. Notice the difference is we've added S's in the plurals. Alice est intelligente et timide. Alice et Claire sont intelligentes et timides. Now, notice, right, here, there's a difference between the Paul and the Alice adjectives because Alice is feminine and intelligent doesn't end in a vowel, so we have to add an E to make it feminine. So when we talk about two girls here, intelligent now ends in an ES. Timide, because it already ends in an E, you just add that S. So in written French, plural adjectives are usually formed as follows. You take your singular adjective, you add an S. Okay? So if the masculine singular adjective already ends in S, there is no change in the plural form. So the example here, Patrick est français, Patrick et David sont français. Right? This is masculine singular. This is masculine plural because we don't add an extra S to this français to make it plural. But Anne françaises has that E because Anne is a girl. Anne et Alice sont françaises. Now we have that extra ES because Anne and Alice are both girls. Note de prononciation, because the final S of plural adjectives is silent, singular and plural adjectives sound the same. So if we talk about this and kind of talk about translations a little bit, so we have Paul is intelligent and shy. Paul and Eric are intelligent and shy. Alice is intelligent and shy. Alice and Claire are intelligent and shy. We have Patrick is French. Patrick and Daniel are French. Anne is French. Anne and Alice are French. So, summary forms of the regular adjectives. Again, remember, we kind of have this dash here because, remember, this is the form that we find in a dictionary, in your glossary of your book, on a vocab list. Okay, so that's the form that you're always given. To make that masculine singular adjective feminine, and singular you add that E. To make that masculine singular adjective masculine and plural, you add an S. And to make that masculine singular adjective feminine and plural, we add an ES. And then again, kind of some things to remember here. Remember, we don't always do this, okay? So except, we don't add that S when our adjective in the masculine singular form already ends in S. Then the masculine singular and the masculine plural forms are the same. And again, we have kind of another exception here. Okay. Here, except when our adjective, okay, in the masculine singular form already ends in E. Then the masculine singular and the feminine singular forms are the same. That is an example here of timid, right? Timid, this is masculine singular. And timid, this is feminine singular. They're the same because they already ended in E. We don't add that extra E to make it feminine. Okay? Français would be an example of this one. Masculine singular, it ends in français. We wouldn't add an extra S to make it masculine plural. But notice to make it feminine and plural, we add that ES. Okay? Again, this is just summarizing that information. And again, these are regular adjectives. So what are some regular adjectives? Well, nationalities, les adjectifs de nationalité, are regular adjectives for the most part. S'il vous plaît, répétez américain, mexicain, français, anglais, espagnol, suisse, Italien, Canadien, Japonais, Chinois, right? So if you're American, you're from the country of the United States. You're from the country of Mexico if you're Mexican. Country of France if you're French. Country of England if you're English. From the country of Spain if you're Spanish. From the country of Switzerland. If you're Swiss, from the country of Italy. If you're Italian, from the country of Canada. Okay. If you're Canadian, from the country of Japan. If you're Japanese, and from the country of China, if you're Chinese. Remember the other day we talked about why we have these two forms in parentheses. Remember, these are considered irregular adjectives, and so they've given you that feminine, okay, singular form here, both cases. And so to make those plural, you would just add s's to them to make them feminine and plural. Words that describe nationality are adjectives and take adjective endings. Monsieur Katagiri est japonais. Kumi et Michiko sont japonaises. Okay, so Mr. Katagiri is Japanese. He's masculine and singular, so this is that masculine singular form of japonais. Kumi and Michiko. Now, if I'm not even sure about their names and whether they're girls or boys, by looking at the fact that I have an ES here, that tells me that they are feminine and plural because they have that ES ending. Okay? So, again, that's important because that tells us that Kumi and Michiko, even though those might be names I'm not very familiar with, that those actually are girls' names because I see this adjective has that feminine and plural ending on it. So if we kind of do a little example here, if I want to talk about some men, how about we'll do this. We'll do a Frenchman and some French men. Okay. So a Frenchman is un, homme, and then français in the masculine singular form. So this one that they've given us here, because they're going to give us masculine singular forms. Now, some Frenchmen, I'm going to change my article to they. Homme has to have an S on it to make it plural. And français, though, already ends in an S, so it's one of those that the adjective here is going to stay the same. Okay, both masculine and feminine. So if I want to change these, and now instead of a man and men, I want to talk about a woman and women. Okay, then it's going to be une femme française, ending in that E because I have to, again, take that masculine singular one and make it feminine. So this is how I know that it's feminine. And then des femmes. Again, I have to add that S to femme to make it plural. And then française is going to have an ES to make it feminine and plural. So your adjectives always have to agree with the nouns they describe. Here are some other adjectives you might be interested in, and this is kind of an important thing for you to realize. Remind students that adjectives of nationality are not capitalized in French. I won't ever mark it wrong if you do capitalize it, but just know that in French they don't capitalize nationalities. So here's some supplementary vocabulary. Again, this is from the country of Germany. The Netherlands, Portugal, Lebanon, oops, that's a B, needs to be a B, Russia, Greece, Egypt, Israel, Brazil, Peru, Korea, and Vietnam. Okay. So, s'il vous plaît, répétez allemand, Hollandaise, Portugais, Libanais, Russe, Grec, and again, here's that feminine form right here. Égyptien, Israélien, Brazilian, Peruvian, Korean, Vietnamese. Okay, again, it's not vocabulary required to know, but some vocabulary that might be helpful. We have another expression pour la conversation, how to introduce a conclusion. S'il vous plaît, répétez alors, j'habite à Québec, alors tu es Canadien. So again, this sentence is saying, I live in Quebec, so you are Canadian. And notice Canadian, right? This is the masculine singular form of Canadian, which means this two I'm talking to must be one boy or male person. So again, that's something that in English you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell, but in French, okay, you would. If we had been talking to a girl instead, then it would have to be to a Canadian. Then we would know that we were talking to a girl. So your homework is on page 166, exercise 5, and page 167, exercise 7. Here's exercise 5, une question de personnalité, so a question of personality. Parler, écrire. Écrire means that it's going to be a writing activity for you. Indicate whether or not the following people exhibit the personality traits in parentheses. These traits are given in the masculine singular form only. Make the necessary agreements. So our example prompt here is Alice et Thérèse aiment parler en public. And so they're asking us to use timide. Now, to decide whether it should be an affirmative or negative sentence, you have to be able to understand what the sentence is telling me. So this sentence here is saying that Alice and Teresa like to speak in public. So if they like to speak in public, would they be shy? No. So our sentence becomes elles ne sont pas timides. So a couple little things here. Robert and Luke, right? This is two boys, so that's going to be masculine and plural. Catherine and Martine, that's two girls. That's going to be feminine and plural. Laura and Leah, also two girls, feminine and plural when you do your adjective. Thomas et Vincent, that's going to be masculine, plural, two boys. And les voisins, the neighbors, again, we're not sure, but we always then, if we don't know, we default to masculine and plural. Okay? So the sentences given in your book here, these sentences here, these are so you can decide about this adjective that they give you. So let's take a look maybe at number 3. We have Catherine et Martine aiment jouer au foot and sportif. So the sentence is telling me Catherine and Martine like to play soccer. Well, if they like to play soccer, the assumption is then that they are athletic. So my sentence is going to be elles sont. Now, I have to remember my feminine form of this adjective. It becomes an IVE, that makes it feminine, and I need an S to make it plural. So my sentence becomes, elles sont sportives. So you're going to write out those sentences with those adjectives that are in parentheses. Some of them will be affirmative. This is that affirmative sentence. Some of them may be negative, okay, if the adjective fits. All right, exercise 7, les nationalités, nationalities. Again, this is going to be an écrire, a writing one for you. Give the nationalities of the following people. Sylvia et Maria sont de Rome. So if Sylvia and Maria are from Rome, Rome is in Italy, so that makes them Italian. So it's elles sont italiennes. So again, we do for both of these need to remember our verb être that we've learned before, which means to be. Remember the forms of être: je suis, tu es, il or elle est, nous sommes, vous êtes, and il and elle pluriel sont. So again, a little bit of help here. I've already helped you out with what country these are. Quebec is in Canada, Liverpool's in England, Madrid is in Spain, Acapulco is in Mexico, Tokyo is in Japan, Beijing is in China, Geneva is in Switzerland, and Paris is in France. But to help you a little bit here with the names, Lise and Natalie, that's two girls, so that's going to be feminine and plural. Michael and Dennis, that's two boys, so that's going to be masculine and plural for your adjective. Louis et Paco, that's again two boys, so that's masculine and plural. Okay. Number 4, Isabel a Carmen, those are two girls, so that's feminine and plural. Yoko and Kumi, those are actually two girls' names, so that's going to be feminine and plural. Monsieur et Madame Chen, that's a mixed group. So remember, anytime it's mixed, we're going to go with masculine and plural. Jean-Pierre and Claude, two boys, so that's masculine and plural. And Françoise et Sylvie, that is the feminine form, okay, of that name. So those are actually feminine and plural, the names. So, okay, because Sylvie and Maria were both girls, Italienne ends in that extra NES. So if we took a look at one of these, maybe number 6, Monsieur et Madame Chen habitent à Beijing. So Mr. and Mrs. Shen live in Beijing. That makes them Chinese. We said that would be a masculine plural because it's a mixed group, so my subject is going to start il pluriel. My verb has to be sont to match. And then I want to look for Chinese, which is chinois. So here's my masculine singular form. And remember, I don't add an extra S to make it plural, so it's just ils sont chinois. So again, you're writing sentences like that for your homework. Au revoir, à demain.